Good morning, everybody. Oh, it's good. I'm the Reverend Ellen Quaadgras in co-ministry here at South Church with Kirsten Hunter, our Director of Lifespan Ministry, and in shared ministry with all of you. We are here together this morning to be reminded of what matters, to settle ourselves a bit, to breathe a little deeper and loosen bit by bit whatever might feel tight today, and to open ourselves as we can to the possibility that there may be more here than first appears. Welcome to South Church, to those of you online with us and those of you here in the sanctuary. This whole month, our theme is possibility, and today we'll be reflecting on possibility in a very human, everyday way, in the stuck places, in the surprises, in the small openings, and in the ways something new can become possible when we see differently. Grateful to Mitch, Pivor, our worship associate this morning, for co-leading today's service, to Susan Adams and Cathy Okhuysen for leading us in music, to Ben Abbott for making our service available to everywhere in the world, to Kirsten Hunter for leading our time for all ages, after which our youngest are invited downstairs for religious education, and everyone after the service is invited downstairs for coffee and conversation. I particularly invite you to expand your world a tiny bit by approaching someone you do not know well, and maybe you could ask them this question: what's a possibility that turned up in your life that you did not see coming? Or, because weather questions are always fitting in New England, what does slightly warmer weather make possible for you? I will let you all chew on that and discuss. We have large print hymnals and listening devices in the back. An usher can help you with either one. Please silence your cell phone if you have not already. And we now make time for a couple of announcements, starting with Committee on Ministry and then the stewardship team, and then we have an announcement from our immigration folks.
Good morning. I am Lauren Katz. This is Rebecca Hennessy, and we are from the Committee on Ministry. And we've noticed that we talk every Sunday about justice, equity, and the inherent worth and dignity of all people, and how we can go about living those values. But we don't often talk about one of the most important ways to live those values, and that is the value and discussion of money.
It can feel uncomfortable to talk about, but it's part of... It can feel uncomfortable to talk about, but it's part of the world we live in. The Committee on Ministry invites you into an open-hearted conversation about money. Reflection circles on money ministry aren't a pledge drive or a budget meeting. There is space to reflect together on how our resources can support the kind of world we believe in.
We will be reflecting and have already started to reflect on one simple question: where do our deepest values and our resources meet? Our hope is to move past the discomfort and begin to see money as a tool for care, connection, and change.
We hope you will join us and share your own experiences around money, spirituality, and belonging. The dates are April 14th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. and May 3rd, shortly after the worship service. Please let us know if you can make it. We'll be downstairs at coffee hour.
Good morning. Thank you for that invitation. It really connects to the journey we...
Can we turn it up a little bit?
Thank you. Is that better? Thank you. Thanks for that invitation. It really connects with the journey we have been on together this year.
Thank you, Dave. My name is Anita, and we're both from Mission United. And I have this little Mission United. Okay, Mission United is our stewardship committee for South Church. So I have this little visual here, and this is because this is at the heart, excuse me, of what this has meant to us, the stewardship campaign. We wanted to give our heartfelt thanks to all of you for really leaning into this year's 2026 stewardship campaign, fueling our faith, funding our future with openness and reflection and care.
With a new name, Mission United, and a new giving guide, we tried to shift the conversation, not just about dollars, but about values.
At the heart of the campaign, it's been an invitation to reflect on the spirituality of giving and to consider how our resources connect us to what matters most to us and also the kind of community and world that we want to build.
What we've seen is meaningful, not only in the generosity of the financial commitments, but in the thoughtfulness, the conversations, and the willingness to engage in a new way.
So the hearts here are just a simple reminder
The
of
mic.
Whoops, the mic, I know, attached to the mouth, right? About care, connection, and shared purpose.
Which is why the reflection circles feel so important. And I'm a newer member of South Church. I love the idea of these reflection circles, and I can say for sure that our committee is working closely and listening to the feedback that is shared at those reflection circles.
Yeah, because this is not just a one-time-a-year conversation, it's an ongoing practice.
So this year, Anita and I will be co-convening the UU Mission United effort.
And we are really grateful to have such a strong foundation that we've built over the past year and want to really thank our team members, BJ Lates, Brian Brown, and Richard Spence for their leadership and care in this work. And then finally, so thank you all for showing up, reflecting, and being part of this community. We're truly grateful. Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Janet Pulaski. Some of you may have met Mark at church. He's an immigrant from Haiti. This coming Tuesday, Mark has his annual interview in Scarborough, Maine with ICE. Mark is documented, has no criminal record, and works 70 hours a week in the Seacoast, and he's a nice guy. But he still runs the risk, as you all know, of detention and deportation. With ICE, it seems to make no difference his legal status. In Cedar Rapids, Iowa, the UU churches rallied about 200 members and friends to show up outside similar appointments. Their peaceful protest, just showing the community cares and will act, helped prevent detention. So we're inviting any of you who is able to come to a peaceful show of support, it's not a protest, for Mark this Tuesday morning in front of the Scarborough Immigration Office. We will gather at the Kittery Community Center parking lot on Rogers Ave in Kittery at 10, and we will leave promptly at 10:15 to carpool to Scarborough. We should be back by 1. If you prefer, you can meet us at the Immigration Office in Scarborough. It's 1 mile off the exit at 40 Manson Libby Road in Scarborough, Maine. And if you're interested and you missed any of those details, please come see us at the social justice table downstairs after today's service. Thank you, and thanks to South Church for all of your support.
Thanks, Janet. And thanks. So many ways that we can invest in the heart and soul and values of South Church. Thank you all. Finally, we begin by acknowledging that we gather on the ancestral homelands of the Abenaki and Pennacook peoples, communities who lived in integral relationship with this land for generations and who were forcibly displaced by colonization. As we reflect on possibility this morning, may we remember that any possibility worthy of the name includes justice, repair, and a commitment to right relationship with one another and with the earth.
Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I seek. Let me be part of the love you give.
As we light our chalice here, we invite people watching at home to light a candle or chalice of their own. We light this chalice today with these words by Reverend Michelle Collins. We light this flame for what is not yet known, for the questions that stretch us, the hopes that whisper, and the courage that flickers on uncertain days. We kindle this flame for the beginnings that are only just becoming. Now please rise and join us, if you're able and willing, in reciting our mission statement printed in the order of service. Okay. Now we have a mic. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship and learning and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people, and we inspire one another to act on our faith and in the larger community. Embracing possibility. What am I doing up here? I am still in wonder how I am up here as a worship associate in front of you all, sharing words from my heart, something I would have never dreamed of doing, and becoming so involved with South Church. It all began 13 years ago. My wife Carol and I were looking for community. We met some South Church members and encouraged to come to a service. We came on a music Sunday. We felt the spirit of this place. Carol was ready to join me. I had my reservations. I have problems with commitment, especially a big congregation. How much will I be expected to participate? I wanted to be on the sidelines, maybe just dip my toe in the water. I was busy enough being a pediatrician. Carol was the opposite. She let it be known she wanted to be involved. Then, as in life, sometimes a person comes along that just gets you to go in a direction not expected. Her name was Fen Duncan. Fen was a person who had an infectious spirits into getting involved at South Church. A special person we lost too early in life, but her spirit lives on, and we miss you. And I still remember vividly when we first started coming to services. On a day we were standing in the back of the church looking a little lost, and then seeing this person, Fen, coming up the aisle through the pews, walking with her confident, swaying, rhythmic gait, and asked, "Are you the Pivors? How would you like to be greeters?" And our answer was, "What is a greeter?" We do not even know where the bathrooms are, what happens when people ask questions. We do not know the answers. We are not qualified. And Fen simply said to each of these questions and our trepidations, "I will be there." And we started greeting, and Fen was there each Sunday, giving us confidence, saying hello to all of you coming in, not needing to know the answers, because there's always others to ask. And what a pleasure to say hello in so many on Sunday mornings, and what a pleasure getting hellos and smiles back from all of you. We're still greeting 13 years later and have both become very involved in South Church. My plan to stay on the sidelines, well, that plan sure did not last. And it usually always starts the same. I get asked if I'm interested to join or help, and my initial answer is, "I can't do that. I do not know enough." And there's a person like Fen who states, "You will not be alone." And I join, and it's wonderful, meeting and working with people in the congregation, people who care and support you. Like helping in the kitchen, everyone working together and talking and enjoying. And so what if I keep forgetting how to make coffee or run the dishwasher or what goes where? There's always people there to give support. And so here I am sharing words with you and being thankful to the people who help us embrace possibilities, to help us take steps that we are reluctant to take, steps that lead us to paths, to doors that we may have never gone through. In just a few singing words, I'm walking and walking to these doors. Oh, help me go through these doors. I'm walking and walking to these doors. Oh, help me go through these doors. Now, please rise as you're able to sing hymn 1007 in the Teal Book, "There's a River Flowin'."
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Okay, well, if there's anyone in this room who would like to hear a story from a little closer up, there's this lovely floor here where everyone is invited to sit, or whomever wishes. We're going to fence in Reverend Ellen and Mitch so they don't get loose. Oi. Good morning. So I have a story to share with you today. It's a story that you might have the book of in your house. It's a pretty popular children's story. It's called The Dot. Has anyone ever heard of it? It's written by someone named Peter Reynolds. And I'm not going to show you the book. I'm actually just going to show you some props that I made kind of related to the story while I tell you the story. But The Dot is a story about a little girl named Vashti. And Vashti is in school sitting in art class with you know that story, with a very nice art teacher. And Vashti's sitting at the desk while all the kids in the room are making art. And Vashti has a struggled face. And in front of Vashti is a white piece of paper. And all through the class, that paper stays just pure white. And Vashti's sitting there looking quite duressed. And at the end of the class, after most of the kids leave, the art teacher walks over and looks at Vashti's paper and says, "Oh, polar bears in a snowstorm." "Very funny," says Vashti. Very funny. I am not artistic. I don't know how to draw, and I don't know what to do on this piece of paper. And the teacher says, "Well, take that. Oh, make a mark and see where it takes you." I'm going to bring the mic over to Max, and he's going to help me tell the story. Make a mark and see where it takes you. And Vashti takes a marker and kind of a little bit sassily puts a big dot in the middle of the page. And the teacher looks at the dot and says, "Ooh, now sign it." And Vashti says, "Well, I know how to sign my name." So Vashti signs the dot. And then the teacher says, "I'll see you next time." And Vashti leaves the class and goes home. And the next day, when Vashti comes to art class,
framed. Vashti is so surprised to see her artwork actually framed
on the wall in the classroom. There it is, Vashti's dot, signed by Vashti. Thank you, Max. And Vashti looks at the dot and looks at the teacher and says, "I can make a better dot than that." And so Vashti gets out, when she gets home, gets out her unused box of watercolors that she had gotten for Christmas, and she makes a painting with a whole lot of dots. Red ones and blue ones and yellow ones and green ones, little ones and slightly bigger ones. Then she makes another painting and another. She makes long, skinny paintings of dots. And she makes big dots. And she makes, boy, this takes a little bit longer than I visualized. And she makes multiple dots, swirling together different kinds of colors. She even makes a dot out of nothingness. Whoa. Look at that dot. And at the school art show, in a couple weeks, Vashti brings all of her dot work, and all of the kids and all of the teachers and all of the parents are so impressed with the art that she has made. And a little boy comes up to her and says, "Wow, you are so good at making art. I wish I knew how to draw." And Vashti says to the little boy, "Here's a piece of paper. Make a mark on it." And he does. He makes a little squiggle. And she says, what does she say, Max?
"It's a butterfly, but it's not very good."
That's not what she says. She says, "Now sign it." And that is the story of the dots. You may go down to your classes. No, it's okay. We're going to go down to class level.
Each week at the Offertory, we give as we are able to help support organizations that we have chosen. This is shared with South Church and is much appreciated. Donations can be in person, mailed, or using the QR code in the order of service. During the month, our Offertory collection will be shared with No Brain is the Same. No Brain is the Same helps kids understand that every brain works differently. Through fun, age-appropriate assemblies, they show both neurodivergent and neurotypical students that it feels like to see the world through each other's eyes. By building curiosity and understanding, we reduce bullying and create a school culture where every child feels accepted and empowered to thrive. They also support caregivers of neurodivergent kids with monthly support groups. May the offering begin.
We give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away. When the time may strong with love, we give thanks for this precious day.
Things go how they go. full of possibility. Let us gather our hearts and minds in a spirit of prayer or meditation with these words from the Reverend Michelle Collins. Spirit of life and love, we gather and we pause in the space between what was and what might be. Here, possibility is not a promise, but an invitation. Fragile, alive. Asking us to move forward in trust rather than clarity. We confess our fear of the unknown, our longing for certainty, our clinging to the comfort of the familiar. And despite it all, something in us still reaches, still wonders, still hopes. Grant us the courage to embrace faith in possibility when the path before us is unclear. Help us trust that in the reaching, in the wondering, in the choosing, we are already forming and carried by a love that will not let us go. May we meet what is yet unfinished with tender hands and open hearts. May we meet the rising sun with courage and lean into the work of shaping that which is possible together. Amen. As the music begins, I invite you into a time of quiet reflection, noticing what is in your heart in this moment. If you feel moved, you are invited to come forward and light a candle for someone you love, for a sorrow or a joy, for a hope, for healing, for courage, or whatever is yours to carry today. May all our thoughts, our hopes, our cares be held in the embrace of love. Amen. Almost every Sunday, tucked into the hymnal, there is a little sticky note that marks each hymn we'll sing that day. A previous congregation I served did this too. It's a worship associate task before the service, a gentle nudge to me. Reverend Ellen, turn here. I found I'm oddly touched by this gesture, and I'm interested that it's not just this church, but other churches that have done this. I imagine worship associate teams in some distant eras long ago putting their heads together and saying, how do we make sure when it comes time to sing, the minister is not up there flailing around, fumbling through pages, lost and undignified before God and everybody? Let's help prevent that. So we get sticky notes, which as congregational ministries go is a small kindness, but like any kindness is also not small. It reminded me of the story of the sticky note itself. The sticky note was, as far as I know, not someone's big, shining vision from the start. It began with a failed experiment, an attempt at making something really sticky, and that attempt failed. They were aiming for Gorilla Tiger super strength adhesive, and what they got was milquetoast. It did not hold the way they wanted it to hold. It did not do what it was supposed to do. And that could have been the end of the story. But it wasn't, because someone looked at this failed thing and didn't say, well, that's too bad, I give up. Someone said instead, maybe all's not lost. Maybe it's not over. Maybe there's more here than it at first appears. And now, here we are. What began as failed adhesive now gets used for love notes on mirrors, gathering ideas in committee meetings, marking up drafts, and saving ministers from getting lost in their hymnals. I appreciate that story because it says possibility starts not with certainty, not with guarantees, not with pretending failure isn't failure, but with the willingness to ask a different question. Not just, did this work, but what else might be possible here? It's a good question to remember because we humans can be quick with our verdicts. We can be quick with other people, quick with ourselves, quick with the world. We decide fast. This is a failure. That person's difficult. I know how this goes. Nothing will change. This conversation's doomed. That part of my life is over, and this dismal thing, whatever it might be, this is all there is. And I get it. All those first takes. We've been hurt enough, most of us, to feel when trouble's looming. We all know what it's like to be let down. We know how to brace ourselves. Which is why I've been thinking about the 12-step phrase, act as if. Which is not to say just fake it. I'm not saying deny what's real or paste a smile on what is broken in your heart. I'm talking about something else, like living in a way that leaves room for a reality that's bigger than whatever the current fear might be, acting as if there may be more than first appears, acting as if another person is more than the role you've assigned them, acting as if a moment's not over just because it feels stuck, acting as if someone's belief that they can't do a thing, whether that's drawing a dot or a line or anything really, acting as if their limited belief is not the end of the story, and then seeing what might happen. Acting as if love might still have more to say. That's not fantasy. That's a spiritual discipline. And it's not easy. We humans are hardwired to notice what's wrong. I say this a lot, but it bears repeating. We are tuned into danger and to the problem. We are good at remembering pain. Scientists call it negativity bias, but that name just doesn't do justice to the dispiriting way this tendency actually works in practice. Our fears are sticky. Bad experiences cling. Negativity has a strong adhesive, maybe stronger than that sticky note inventor even dreamed of. And sometimes that tendency, that bias is actually helpful. For some of it is our wisdom. Some of it has kept us alive. But some of it also keeps us small, narrows our vision, can convince us that our first impression is all there is and leaves us certain way too soon. And certainty, especially the wrong kind, is not always a friend of possibility. I was thinking this week of a line from a poem by Robert Bly. He says, "Think in ways you've never thought before. If the phone rings, think of it as carrying a message larger than anything you've ever heard." A few lines later, he writes that maybe what comes to your door is a bear, wounded and deranged, or maybe it's a moose rising out of the lake, carrying on its antlers a child of your own whom you've never met. Which is to say, maybe what's coming is difficult, but maybe it's beautiful. Maybe it's alarming. Maybe it's a gift. Maybe it is larger or stranger than anything you had in mind. I think he's saying, let's not get so stuck in our usual stories that we miss what might actually be there. Our earth shows us this too. There is more going on underneath than we can see at first glance. A patch of ground looks empty while roots grow out of sight. A field looks pretty bare while seeds are sprouting in the soil. We water what we can't see. We do tend to what's not yet fully visible, and we trust that the first glance is not all there is. I was reminded of that a few years ago, too, in my last congregation, when I went to visit a congregant in a rehab facility. I was having kind of a low day, so before I left the house, I put on one of my favorite shirts to try to lift my mood. I had always liked Steve. Watching Alzheimer's change his world had been hard, but there was also something really tender in the way his partner Dan cared for him, and in the way love kept showing up between them. When I walked into the room, Steve saw me come in, gave me this huge smile, and said, "Ellen, you look beautiful." And I remember thinking, well, I'm glad I wore this shirt. A A few moments later, as I settled into my chair, a staff person came by with Steve's lunch. He looked up at her and said, "Nicole, you're beautiful." Oh well. Maybe it wasn't about my shirt. But I didn't mind. Dan and I chatted while they worked their way through broccoli and veal parmesan, and every so often Steve would pause, look me right in the eye, and say, "I love you." And while I've never been a big say I love you person, Steve said it so sincerely and so simply, I found myself answering spontaneously in kind. "I love you too, Steve," I said. By the end of that hour-and-a-half visit with a couple of your beautifuls and at least 4 I love yous exchanged, my discouragement had left me. I felt peaceful. I felt at ease. Only later, I realized why. I can't say I love you without meaning it. I'm even feeling it right now. And that openness in Steve's way of being opened something in me, too. Sometimes possibility is not a grand breakthrough, just a door opening in a person. Just a moment in which one person's freedom made me a little freer, too. And of course, it's not only true in my life or private moments, it's true in congregations too. We heard it already this morning in Mitch's words. He thought he would stay on the sidelines and just dip a toe in every once in a while. He did not come here expecting to be up front, speaking from the heart, but someone saw something in him he hadn't yet seen in himself, and someone said, in effect, "I am with you," and a door opened. That too is possibility. It doesn't have to be grand. A lot of life changes through small openings. Someone says a true thing first. A person is kinder than expected. A failed thing turns out to have a future. And a guarded heart loosens just a little. What would it mean to live as if that kind of possibility were always there? I want to end with a story sometimes called the Rabbi's Gift. A monastery had fallen on hard times. Once it had been full of life, and now only a few aging monks remained. The place had grown quiet, worn down, discouraged. The abbot, not knowing what else to do, went to visit his friend, a rabbi who lived nearby, and asked if there was any wisdom he could offer, anything that might help to save this community. The rabbi listened. They read parts of the Torah together, and they spoke of deep things, and then together they wept a little. And when it came time for the abbot to leave, he asked one more time, "Is there anything I can do to bring back the brothers?" "I'm sorry, I have no advice for you," said the rabbi. "I can only tell you this. The Messiah is among you." The abbot went back to the monastery, turning these words over in his mind. The Messiah is among you? What could that mean? When he told the others, they were just as puzzled. The Messiah is among us? Here? Now? And because they didn't know, they began to wonder, could it be the abbot? Could it be Brother Thomas? Could it be Brother Elred, difficult as he was? And maybe, now and then, each one had the same private thought. Of course, the rabbi didn't mean me. But what if he did? And so, Slowly, they began to treat each other differently, a little more carefully, a little more kindly, a little more reverently. And after all, if the Messiah might be one of them, they did not want to be careless with anyone. And just in case each monk himself might be the Messiah, each began to treat himself with extraordinary respect. And as they began to live with one another in that new spirit, something in the monastery changed. Not overnight. The buildings were still old, the problems were still real, but the atmosphere changed. There was more life, more warmth, more care. And people noticed. Visitors who passed through noticed. Neighbors noticed. Some came back, some brought friends, some stayed. And over time, life returned to the monastery. Now, whether that story happened exactly that way isn't really the point. The point is, possibility began not with a new program, not with certainty. It began with a new way of seeing. The Messiah is among you. What if we lived that way? What if we acted as if there is more here than at first appears? What if any of us treated any other as if the holy might be present right there, hidden in ordinary lives, in tired hearts, in imperfect people in this congregation trying to live well in a troubling and complicated world? If that were true, what might become possible then? May we hold that question as we go through our day and through our week. Amen. Please let us rise in body or in spirit and turn to page 117. I know you don't have a sticky in your hymnal, but I do. It's hymn 1017, Building a New Way, in your teal hymnal.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and into the world until we are together again.
Go now and trust that there may be more here than at first appears. In the people beside you, in the life before you, in your own heart. May we go building a new way. May we go feeling stronger. May we go tending what is small, what may be hidden, and what is still becoming. May we go in peace. Amen.